They say music feeds the soul and food feeds the heart. So please join us for season 2 of Brunch with a Black Man, where we sit down with Black men from across the world who talk about their experiences with mental health, mental wellness, and how they are taking on their own mental health journey. We sit down over brunch to break it down. Make sure you join us for season 2 of Brunch with a Black Man. Hello and welcome to another edition of Brunch with a Black Man. I'm your host, Miracle Jones, and today we're sitting down with legendary recording artist, fashion designer, and educator, Graft. Hey, we're here.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
We are so glad that you are joining us today. So let's get right into it. Talk to me a little bit about your backstory. What was it like growing up here in New York?
I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York City, and I think I guess my hood is like any other hood. It was bad. There was a lot of poverty going on. It was, but I think the thing that was interesting about me is that when I was young, I was not trying to get caught up in the pitfalls of the streets. Like most kids my age, young, they see outside and they run to it right away. I took a while before I got lost in my environment. It wasn't until actually my dad got murdered across the street from where my aunt was living at. After that, I think my environment began to take more of a hold on me. But before that, I was doing a good job navigating my way through the pitfalls of the hood. But Jamaica, Queens is crazy.
So what was like an average day in the life of a young Grafh before your father's time had passed?
Heavily into the arts. I always drew. I wasn't rapping and doing music then, but I was always into art. I was drawing and dancing back then. And playing sports, I was nice at basketball. As a matter of fact, I played for most of the leagues in my neighborhood. Like I was in Rosedale playing for the teams in my hood. And then after my pops passed, I didn't really play sports as much anymore because we bonded through sports. And then after that, I think my interest in basketball just went out the window. But I was nice. They was getting their ass busted and dunked on and all that good stuff.
What position were you playing?
I like small forward. Yeah.
Okay. And then your drawing, what was your creative process at that time? Was it the cartoons you were seeing on TV? Was it the people in the community? Or was it the fashion? Like,
a little bit of everything, to be honest. Yeah, I was in anime a little bit back then, comic books, art, realistic art, things I was seeing. I was drawing what that was coming in my mind. It's similar to my music now. I feel like I just put the pictures into words now, but my imagination goes crazy still, and I'm fortunate if I get a chance to release it to the public in a professional way, but it's a maze up here going on. Yeah.
And so your creative process, you're in sports. How did music find you?
Music found me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I always had a passion for music in my household. Like I'm Jamaican, so my household is music from morning to night. It was the classic Bob Marley, the classic roots music was always playing in my household. So I grew up with music as the backdrop. So and a lot of musicians in my family, like music was just the soundtrack to everything in my life. So it wasn't a surprise to anybody in my family that I took that route to make music for a living, to express myself. Yeah.
And so what drew you? Do you remember what the first time you walked into the studio? What was that like for you?
My first time, I don't even remember the first time. And my brain is cloudy. It was like a lot of first times. Yeah. But it was pretty amazing to me because I'm like a sponge, so I soak up my environment immediately. Like I knew I wanted to create music from the day that I stepped in the studio. Because before that, I was actually too shy to perform the things I was writing and create. I was telling other people because I was like, I know it was good, but I was like, I'm too shy to spit this in front of everybody. Back when I was like younger, because I started writing early, like maybe like 13 or 14. I started creating, coming up with words, and do you mind? Can we say like a prayer over it? I pray every day.
Go ahead.
On my phone, but I'm gonna do a little quick joint. Like, God bless this meal and every meal you give me in Jesus' name, amen. Just keep it short, you know what I mean?
Short and sweet, you gotta make it work.
But yeah, the music was always the soundtrack to everything in my life, for real.
Okay. So you walk into the studio, you're like a sponge, you're creating, right? You're talking what's going on in your life, but you have all these different type of influences because you have the hip hop influences, you have the Jamaican influences. And so like were you surprised about the response to your music being like a shy kid?
No. You know how like when they ask you, like when a person is successful and they ask you, did you always know you're gonna make it? They're like, no, I never knew. And I always knew. I'm never gonna lie. I know I was gonna be good at whatever I put my mind to. Like before I became a successful recording artist, I was going to school for medicine. I was gonna be a doctor. I didn't even know what type of doctor I was gonna be. I said, I made my mama proud doing this. Went to St. John's University and I was studying medicine. And I didn't love it, but I just knew I was gonna be good at it. If I pursued that, I was gonna be good at it. If I went into law, I was gonna be a good lawyer. I knew that whatever I was gonna put my time and energy into, I would be good at it. So that's just how my mindset was from a child. I think I was voted most likely to succeed when I was in junior high school in the yearbook, because I always thought this way. I never ran from success or the work that it took to be great at whatever task was at hand. So I knew it was gonna be. If it wasn't, I would have been shocked. Like, damn, I suck.
Like, what? How did that happen?
My mindset was just too determined to be good at whatever was in front of me. I've been like that since a child, I swear.
So what was that conversation like with your family to be like, you know what? I'm not going to be that doctor.
Oh.
I'm not going to, I'm gonna do this art thing, this new art form. I feel like I can do something with this. What was that conversation like?
It was bad. It was not a good one. My mother was disappointed at first because I was in my third year of college before I started to wrestle with the idea of doing music as a profession. So she was not happy at all in the beginning. Not until she saw money coming from it. Because it's like you're trading, you're 3 years in, and you're studying medicine. I was studying physical science, trying to figure out what I wanted to be. And my last year, I couldn't completely finish it. I got all incompletes because I was trying to balance that and touring with music. Somehow I got connected with Busta Rhymes at that time in my career. Because I was like battle rapping and like destroying all competition in barbershops and stuff like that. And he caught wind of it. And somehow, I don't remember the exact way it happened, but I think he sent somebody in my school to find me or some shit like that. But I began to take it serious. I couldn't balance school and music. I was like falling asleep in class and just messing up, just trying to stay on course at school. And when I told my mother that I was going to take music serious and not pursue school, it didn't go well. Nah. Jamaican parent? Hell no. She wasn't having it.
A Jamaican parent who's also grieving the loss, of a partner, and she sees that like you may be involved in this art form that is not traditionally seen as safe and productive. So how did you make up that mental determination to say, this is what I want, you're disappointed, Ma, but like, trust me, I got this?
I'm busting this down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't that seamless. It was what happened is, that's all my shit. What happened is, I didn't make a smooth transition to just leave school and do music. There was the mixtape scene. It was the underground scene, hip hop in New York City, and I got so hot in that scene that there was no choice but to make the transition. Like at that time, with me and 50 Cent were like the hottest people in New York City. DJ K. Slade, R.I.P. to the late great DJ K. Slade, was the first one to put me on a mixtape so that the public could hear what I had to offer and play me on the radio. And from the first mixtape and the first time he played my freestyle on the radio, the shit took off. So there was no turning back after that. So there was no way for me to. I tried to balance it. There was no balance. It went this way, and I just went with the energy. So as I pursued music in a professional way at that time, I wasn't making any money in the beginning. So to my mother, it was a hobby. You know what I'm saying? And I remember having a super harsh discussion with her, and I said, the first day I get a check from this, I'm gonna slam on the table. Just grill you man hard, walk out the room. She's like, well, until that day, she talked that shit, she was not feeling it. And then I created a buzz so big for myself at that time that I ended up in a bidding war with the major labels. And Sony won a bidding war, and they offered me like $1 million deal. And the advance was like $100,000. I'm like 19 to 20 years old with a $100,000 check. I brought it home, put it on the table, like, pow. I just looked at her and walked out the room. And she didn't argue after that.
See, I would have been just like too scared to do that too.
I had to prove it. I had to prove it because she doubted it, and I was like, "Are you doubting me?" It made me go harder. Because as a Jamaican, you wanna, as a Jamaican son, you wanna make your mother proud. That's it. So like, feeling doubt is like, oh nah, I can't live with that. Like I could not live with that. I was like, nah, I'm gonna make you proud, no matter what I'm doing. So that she figured that out after that. Like, oh, this is serious. It's not a hobby. There's a lot of zeros in that right there. And I gave it to her. I put an account that we both had access to, so you can spend what you want to do. And then I learned money management real fast then because blew that shit. I was like, yikes.
Now you gotta get it back. So what was that process like to be in this bidding war and then to be picked? And it's like, I gotta keep grinding because like now I've got my mom, you know, now believing in me. At first she didn't, so now I got this added pressure of like, I wanna make it for me, I wanna make it for my own survival, but I also wanna keep my mom happy.
It felt good. It felt like an accomplishment. That was like the first trophy of like validation if I needed it from my family. Like, oh, this is working. This is, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna go back to school. But I wish I finished. Like I'm in my third year. Can I buy my degree somewhere?
Listen, who knows? These days and age. And so you're in this bidding war, you get out, and your music is popping off. What was the one thing that surprised you about the industry at that time?
At that age, that it was all smoke and mirrors and everything was kind of fake. Nobody's word was what it meant. Nobody meant what they said. I had to understand that coming from where I came from. I'm from Jamaica, Queens. I'm from a family of honesty. And I was raised by the gangsters in my neighborhood. I didn't understand how to make the transition to everything being fake or phony. This is the land of people are your fake friend just in case they need you. You know what I mean? Nobody's word is what they say here. And I had to learn that the hard way. It took me years to figure that out. That and that people will use you for your energy, which makes their word even faker because everything is a facade. People put you in certain rooms and you think your experience is real or that we're all feeling the same thing, but no, they're really just using you for your energy. They're not gonna pour back into you. And you have to learn that the hard way too. And there's a third thing I learned that, you know how they always say what you don't know will hurt you? That, my friend, is a lie. So I learned that the hard way too. What you don't know will hurt you. You have to educate yourself and really understand the playing ground you're on. Business-wise, read energy, learn people, learn body language. You gotta learn fast if you want to survive in this business or the streets. What you don't know will hurt you. That is false. So those things came at me pretty quick. And I've had to figure that out on my own.
So you talk about things coming at you quick. Obviously, you get into, you know, a signed situation, and then because of circumstances outside of your control, it kind of fizzles out just a little bit for you. What was your mindset when that was all going on?
Say it again?
With the deal and the separation, like, what was your mindset?
Oh,
like,
that first deal?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I've been through a few deals and a few up and downs and like much loss. Much gain and loss. It was like a roller coaster ride. Much gain, loss, gain, loss, gain, loss. So I learned to deal with loss early. Even from the death of my father, like I learned you have and you don't have. Because he wasn't there majority of my life to like raise me. I had to figure out how to be a man on my own. I learned how to tie a tie on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I had to figure out the manhood thing on my own. And in the street, I had whatever influences I had, music-wise, and the street dudes outside. And me growing up, my mom was a hairdresser, and I remember her work. She worked on a block that was kind of desolate and dark. And at nighttime, you know, I mean, street lights on that block. It's mad quiet, and she's coming out with cash every day. So she could be a victim of harm if somebody wanted to do something to her. And my dad wasn't around. No male figure was around. I'm a kid, and I grew up watching the street dudes, the hustlers, keep my mother safe. Like, she was safe at night because of the dudes on the corner. So this is my impression of manhood. Young, I'm like, oh, so the gangsters keep my mother safe. Got it. I had to figure out this manhood shit on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned a lot of the right and wrong things. I had to grow up and unlearn a lot of habits as an adult. Like, okay, some of you gangsters have this manhood shit backwards. I had to figure out a couple things on my own. So it was an experience. Everything, the gains and losses, I had to learn. They all taught me lessons on my own that I had to just sort out and figure out by myself. Word.
And you're going through that, you're learning, you're in this industry that you're realizing isn't what it seems. What made you say, you know what, I'm still going to be focused on the music, because you're not going to take that away from me. No matter what deal I have, no matter who's working with me, my music is mine and you can't have it.
The passion. Yeah, I think if you lead with passion with whatever you're doing, it will just guide you in the right direction. Like, I never did it for the money. I didn't do it to be famous or to be seen in some type of cloudy ass way. Like, I'm actually passionate about what I'm saying. I'm actually have something to say. This is actually a vehicle of self-expression that I need. Like, music for me is therapy. The art is 100% a lifesaver for me, because I was going the wrong direction for sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have to create. If I won a lottery today and won $1 billion, I would still make music. If I don't create and use this as the outlet to say what I gotta say, I would definitely be a serial killer. Absolutely, because you have to get the pain out some kind of way. You gotta express the madness in your mind. And for me, music was the best medicine ever. So it was beyond just being hot in the streets or creating a good song. Like, I had to create. Plus, I feel like man is put it to create anyway, so I would have built something or created something regardless. But music, for me, God knew what he was doing. Yeah.
And you said, like, the madness in your mind. What was the first time you heard about somebody talking about, like, healing and mental health and, like, taking that seriously for Black men?
I didn't hear about healing or taking mental health seriously until I was a grown-ass man. There was no outlet for taking mental health seriously. We taught to not show emotion. We're taught that love is weak. You taught that being vulnerable is weak. Think about it when you're young. It's a young Black man in the hood. You bump your knee, get hurt. Walk it off, nigga. Shake that off. What you mean? You don't learn to express pain or anguish. You learn to express anger. You don't learn to be vulnerable. You learn that that's weak and that's strong. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized love was cool. I'm like, oh, this love thing is kind of cool. Being vulnerable is powerful. I had to be a grown-up to learn that. You know what I mean? This was not taught. That's why I said I had to spend my adult years unlearning habits. Like, I watched men run from marriage. I watched men leave bad tips. I watched men abuse other people. Like, I learned a lot of things that wasn't positive in the hood. You know what I mean? And that's because they learned from broken people. So I had to break the cycle on my own. But I'm still unlearning habits to this day. I'm still like a wee bit toxic. I'm getting it.
I mean, it's okay. You know, listen, you are a Jamaican man unlearning toxic masculinity and just trying to do this thing.
Right.
But, like, what was that process like for you? Because sometimes when you are exposed to new things, it's either like you lean in, like, this is how I was raised, this is what I know. What made you say, you know what, maybe there is something that I need to unlearn?
I feel like I knew early that a lot of my influences had it wrong. I think the first time that when I was 19 and one of an OG that I respected gave me work to sell in the street, and kind of like gassed my head up, like, you can take over this hood, right? I'm like, yeah. And like empowered me in the wrong way to go outside and do the wrong thing. I was like, when I got old enough to realize how damaging that was, I'm like, damn, I'm 19, I'm in college. Why are you giving me work to sell? You could have been pushing me to do school and do music and do positive shit. And this is somebody I looked up to, and he did a whole lot of time in prison. It's like, why would you do anything remotely close to send me down the path you went down? But this is what young dudes are used to from OGs. Like, getting coached to do the wrong thing. That's why some of the people in my life were good influences. Like I grew up under Chaz Williams. I don't know if you know who that is, but he ran Black Entertainment. He passed away a couple years ago, man. R.I.P. to Chaz. He was kind of like a father figure to me. He was my manager in music, but he was in my life for so many years. It felt more like father and son rather than artist manager. And he was the one OG that I had that led me the right way. He wasn't co-signing none of my old stupid street shit. All my hustling and crimes I was doing young was behind his back. He would have been like, nah, you're not jacking that. But I had a lot of the wrong influences young and had to sort through a lot of that. So God led me through a lot of this shit, man. I made it through through obstacles that most of my friends didn't make it through. I didn't do mad years in prison. I'm alive. Look at me. My pulse is working. Like a lot of them didn't make it here. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like God definitely protected me through a lot of that stuff. And my intuition, man. I learned quick, and I knew there was always more. I just knew that. I was like, this can't be it. Like I'm being led by people who didn't figure out this manhood shit all the way. But I didn't figure that out till I was a grown ass man.
What was that process like to be like, you know what, I can't be in this industry, making my art, being creative, and still being like deep in the streets, right? You can't be like selling work and trying to make performances and create and be on people's TV screens and also be on the block. Like, how did you like come to that understanding?
I didn't. You chomp this down.
It's a lot. You've lived a very amazing life, and like you said, you had these different like opportunities. And I think that sometimes people don't always understand like what it takes to reinvent themselves and to like save themselves and understand that there are different opportunities like in the world and like how people take those steps like to move away.
It took me a long time to make the transition from the street to 100% music. It took a lot of years, a lot of gain and loss because it costs a lot to fuel your career as a musician. And when you're like knee deep in the street, it takes a village to reverse that. Because you're connected to so much and so many other people's well-being. So now you have a whole team relying on you, and you got to take care of them. You got to do your career, and you got to take care of your own family. So it took a while to make that transition, to be honest. But I was just, I think I just outsmarted my circumstances and figured it out.
You talk about having the team and you figuring it out. You just didn't figure it out for yourself. You were like, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm mobilizing, but I also want to share my experiences with other people. And I want other people to understand that like music can be an outlet for them. And so you do music therapy, you have these other workshops for people. What led you to say, you know what, this is a cool thing and I want y'all to come on this journey with me?
The music therapy is, that is me creating a safe space for children it's like my inner child wish I had this version of a black man to look forward to. So I'm trying to be the version of myself I wish I had for other people. So I created this program called Music Therapy where I actually come into the schools in New York City. Well, countrywide, it's not limited just to New York City, but I'm in a bunch of schools in New York where I come into the school physically with me and my partner, laptop, speakers, computer, and teach them about music, teach them about hip hop, teach them how to express themselves as creatively as possible. So the program is designed to it's disguised as just a creative process, to just be as creative as you can, but it's really, really, really rooted in mental health and emotional learning, so they can really express who they are and get to the root of their pain and say the things that don't come out in conversation, things they won't tell their teacher, things they won't tell their parents. And those things come out in the arts. The truth always comes out in the arts. So for me, it's like we're saving kids. We're saving them from trauma. We're saving them from some of the pain they go through, just with a vehicle of self-expression. And they become better communicators. Attendance rates go up. They want to come to school. They get feel good about being alive, and they saying real things that really happen to them that never come out in conversation. Like in one of my classes, the kid in his song, he said that his dad and his mom are separated, and I guess the new guy she dated was abusing him. But it comes out in the song. You know what I'm saying? So like, he never said that in conversation to anybody, to his mother, to a teacher, to no one. But the truth comes out in the music, you know what I mean? And I watch these kids grow into better people because I stay in the school for years. I'm growing with them. I get to bond with them. And they get to relate to me because I'm from the town for real. They understand that this person that's leading us is from where we're from. It's not like a person that can't really relate to them, that can't really bond, that doesn't understand their story. Because a lot of times you come into the school, right? Like a teacher that doesn't really understand kids, you might see a kid in the corner acting standoffish or acting angry. They see a kid, especially a young black boy acting angry. Oh, we're not fucking with him. He's an angry, troubled kid. No, he's not. If he's angry, he's hurt. He's not angry. He just only knows how to express his pain through anger. He's not actually angry. He doesn't want to be angry. That's the kid who you need to give the most attention to. You can't ignore him. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that I'm proud to say we step in front of and really help in a positive way. And I watch the kids grow. I watch them say, they say thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I get to really express myself in a way that I didn't know was possible. And that's what music did for me. So it's medicine.
What was like that first time you stepped into a classroom and like taught these kids?
I was nervous. Kids are scary. I was nervous. My first time, I was like, oh shit, this is wild. Because I got introduced to the school and education from working with somebody else's program. So I was a guest helping somebody else out. And I was just doing it to support them. I didn't think life would have took me this way. And then I heard one of the kids say, Professor Grafh, and I like smiled. I had to hide my face behind the chalkboard like, Professor Grafh, okay. But I liked how I felt. I was like, Professor Grafh, I was like, all right, I'll take that. And then from there, I just started to get serious about education and reaching kids and seeing the bond. And that class that I was in, it was a financial literacy course for the kids in elementary school. And I realized how important it was to teach them about financial literacy. I was like, damn, man, I learned about money in school. You learn about social studies and economics and different things related to what's in the books that they give you, but you don't learn about finances and taxes and real life world experiences, skills you actually need. And when I became a part of that course and teaching kids about money and finances and credit and how money works, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I want to do this. So a part of my course was implementing financial literacy, and we went and bought a bunch of fake money and taught kids how to budget and count money and money management. Because I was like, you don't have to treat music as a career, but let me show you all the other opportunities that come with it. You could be the manager, you could be the engineer, or we just showed them how to budget and count money. And okay, if the studio session costs $200 and the microphone costs $50, and just breaking things down, and then they get into groups and they count the money and they figure it out, and they're like, oh, I only got $225. Or you would collaborate with him, he got $30 over there, and they figure out collaboration and how to add. And I was like, this is a wonderful thing that we're doing here, because some of the kids, their first time even counting money, even though it's fake, it's their first time counting money and understanding how to budget and what money does. So we're not teaching them to look at money from a place of scarcity and just saving. And this is freedom. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful, man. It is.
And so what is this ending journey for you looking like with your music therapy program, with your fashion, because you're also like creating? Mm-hmm. What is like the future looking like for you?
Just to keep making an impact and change as many lives as possible. And I think that's it. Just to express myself in the best, authentic, honest way that I can and touch as many lives as possible. I think that's the end goal. And yeah, just be heard. As an artist, I just want to be heard by everybody that has ears. If you don't have ears, I mean, all right, cool. If you have ears, then I want to reach you.
Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's edition of Brunch with a Black Man. I'm your host, Miracle Jones. We'll see you next time.